Hello and welcome to our series on influencer marketing. Hi, Rachel. Very nice to meet you today.
Hello, nice to meet you as well.
So it's great to connect, and let's talk today about your journey as an influencer. So I know that you are an influencer. You have your own product brand. You travel, and you've got like various different talents. You're trying to put together an agency of people to train people. So I'd love to hear your journey about where you started, what's your passion, and what's your main interest?
Oh gosh, when you have to talk about yourself, it's hard. But it's funny, I got really inspired this morning by talking to like maybe a new influencer, and she kind of reminded me of the journey. So, when you're a new influencer, you're kind of everywhere because you don't know what you're doing, you don't have help, you don't have guidelines. Typically people don't have a coach or a mentor. So you just kind of are all over until you like figure it out, and if you're self-conscious or you just don't know how to promote yourself, that's something that I'm seeing, that it's not that people don't want to do it, they just don't know how to do it. So oftentimes
Mhm.
it stops them from starting. And that's like was my biggest thing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have to keep going. And I feel like with a lot of research and trial and error, that's kind of how I've gotten to where I am today, to have different conversations, because I'm more progressed. But, when I started, I just, like I said, I was all over the place. I was downloading apps, and I was, going on websites and researching which ones were paid. Because obviously, when you start as an influencer, you're not going to get paid
Mhm.
typically. A lot of the stuff is like, you have to prove yourself to get those better deals or bigger deals. So a lot of the times you just do grunt work for stuff that, you love or you're already using, or, for me, it's stuff that I'm inspired to try and talk about, because obviously like making life easier and like simplifying things is kind of like what everybody wants. And,
Yeah.
when you're thinking about buying products, which to me, an influencer is influencing products or a trend or services or whatever the case may be, but like you're pushing something that you like, know, and trust. So if you don't know anything about the product, it's really hard to talk
Mhm.
about it or make content, and good content, because if you're just making content that has no purpose, it doesn't hold value, and people aren't going to come back to your page, or they're not going to follow you, So a lot really goes into being an influencer, and like getting the brand deals, and, negotiating the time frames, making sure stuff is coming in, and honestly good communications with the brands, getting their expectations. And that's how you keep getting repeat jobs or influencer, products, or people reach out to you, or and also to being open to new concepts and being able to learn, like the travel blog thing is so new for me. So it's like, yeah, I've written stuff, in my 31 years, but I haven't written that, so it's like
Mhm.
time and effort and research. And that's the cool thing too. Like, I've never done everything. And I'm not going to say as an influencer, I know everything,
Yeah.
because I feel like it's kind of like life. You're always learning and growing. And, that's just a part of it. And I think every day I feel like I learn something and I have to grow. And, more and more now, a schedule is so pertinent because you don't have that much time, and a work life balance. Because even though people think like, oh, she's an influencer, she can do whatever, wherever. And it's like, there's a lot that goes into it,
Yeah.
just because it's not like a 9 to 5 job, or, I don't have tentative hours. Like, I'll work whenever, wherever, however I can fit it in. But it also, to me, is important to have that flexible schedule to be like, mentally recharged, and, be able to go do fun things like vacation or whatever, because if you're burnt out, you can't show up,
Yeah. Yeah.
wholeheartedly. You show up either with your content doesn't look good, or like you're not putting love and effort into your editing or your wording on stuff, and all those little details matter. It adds up, or it like decreases from everything. So yeah, I just kind of like got inspired and I wanted that freedom and flexibility. And I kind of was like, I want to be an influencer, but didn't know how. So just kind of like self taught.
Mhm.
And I'd say that that's kind of how I got, here today. And I wouldn't say like my journey's done, it's not
Yeah.
over. Like you had said, like there's so many different avenues that I might have started 6 months or a year ago that either launched or, progressed into something that I'm doing in the future that's just not here. Like, obviously, you understand
Yep.
checks and balances and putting things together and deadlines and everything. But yeah, I mean, and I feel like being an influencer evolves all the time. It wasn't really a concept to me that I could get paid through that. So it
Right. Okay.
was like more like a hobby and a passion that
Mhm.
really just kind of like evolved from like people telling me like that's not real, you can't get paid from that. So I guess maybe like bad critics motivated my passion for it, and it just so happened that it did kind of fit into like the influencer genre. So yeah, that's kind of how that started. So I did a lot of like back work, and then like it just happened like through the research. I applied for all those brands, downloaded all the apps, made all the profiles, all the accounts, because that takes time too to
Mhm.
establish like a presence or a profile, because everybody requires different things,
Yeah.
whether it's TikTok, Instagram, bios, and like you can't just copy and paste that stuff. Like
Yeah. There's too
you
many tools, and you're diluting your presence all over the place, right?